Intertalk Radio, you're in to all things music.
Welcome to Jackie's Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Band's an A-list player.
Hired Gun is the best available musician. He gets the gig because he's the elite player.
Billy Joel sounded like Billy Joel because of Liberty DeVitto.
If Billy is the father of those songs, I'm at least the uncle.
It seems like there's about 20 musicians we're talking about that have made every single record that everybody owns.
Hey everybody, welcome to Jackie's Groove. This is Jackie Bertoni, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. You're into all things music. It's an ongoing saga, my friends. We're back on the eve of the debut of this amazing award-winning documentary called The Hired Gun. And again, I want us to stop from everybody out there listening. Go to Fathom, Fathom events.com, search Hired Gun, pop in your zip code and search where this amazing documentary will be near you. If it's not close to you, make the pilgrimage, get to it. It's one day only, and 300 plus screens nationwide, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, as I say this, not with tongue in cheek, but HBO, if you're listening, it's time for a new series, kids. So with that said, I am proud and privileged to welcome the crux of the guys, not so much the musicians, but the dudes who make this documentary what it is. I'm welcoming back director Fran Strine and also the editor, cinematographer extraordinaire by the name of Mr. Gavin Fisher. So with that said, I want everybody to welcome with open arms and open ears to Jackie's Groove. Please welcome Fran and Gavin. Welcome, boys.
Hey. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, let's talk about the eve of the release. How are we feeling, man? Is there the quintessential butterflies going on right now? Are we excited and we're waiting with angst?
You know, for me, this is Fran, by the way, so you recognize his voice. I do have some butterflies. You know, I had a hard time sleeping last night a little bit, just thinking of this thing in 350, 400 theaters across the nation, and just jazzed about it. You know, we put so much hard work into this thing, and, you know, we want to make sure as many eyeballs get on it as possible.
You know, and I'm really excited, man, because, you know, I'm a fan of Rotten Tomatoes, and you guys got rated. What are your feelings, both of you guys, on the rating that you received from Rotten Tomatoes?
I haven't seen the rating. I hope it's good.
Oh, it's great, man. They compared you to the Academy Award-winning the documentary regarding the background singers, blah blah blah, to Stardom, and they said it pretty much equal and on par. So with that said, man, let's get the Academy to start voting on the situation. And also, let me ask you this question, Gavin. When you sit back, and of course you've seen this, I'll be telling you right now, I've seen it 5 times. And I am personally going down, my wife and I are going down tomorrow because I've got to experience this in a big theater, because as just what Nita said and what Liberty and Kenny and everybody have done so far, and Rudy says you have to see it on the big screen. With that said, and with you getting the final situation around, Gavin, were you happy? Were you elated? Were there things that you thought you may have missed on this, or are you pretty 100% sure that you locked it in this time around?
I'm pretty happy with it, and I mean, as far as technical, the look and everything, I'm really happy with it, and I mean, I should be. I mean, I had a lot of control over it from beginning to end. So, but I mean, the real magic of seeing it in the theater is the crowd reaction, because I've seen it 3 or 4 times now at various festivals and stuff, and the reaction seems to be the same across the board. It's pretty consistent, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's always cool to see your movie in the theater with the crowds, and I mean, the first time it's like you're super insecure about it. You're like, is this any good? Does this suck? And everyone seems to love it. Everyone laughs in the right places. Everyone, kind of cheers at the right places. So, I mean, I love seeing it in the theater with other people.
You know, and as I said to Fran earlier, I got to tell you, man, even on the 5th viewing of this documentary, I still get choked up at the end when Liberty's walking and the camera is following him, and his voiceover just kind of reiterates the fact, because he hasn't lost hope that him and Billy again will share the stage. I mean, Fran, you took a lot of shit, man, yesterday with regards to I don't know if it was a newscast or whatever it said that kind of coined you as the one that said the ill things about Billy Joel and how he was heartless. What do you feel about that?
Right. It's weird because I don't remember saying it in such a negative light. I remember the guy interviewing me was asking me about the Billy Joel situation. I'm like, you know, when you look at Russell Javers on camera and it's hard for me to believe that this guy would lie, because I've become friends with these guys now. And when you're hearing him say, you know, I didn't even get a phone call. I haven't talked to the guy since, you know?
Right.
And in Liberty, you know, it's like, to me, that is heartless. I mean, how do you go from a 30-year career? You know, it is heartless to me, you know? So,
well, you remember what Russ...
The headline.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say what pissed me off with the headline was they were asserting that it was the band members that said that he was heartless. I'm the one who said it. Yeah, so...
Yeah, because if you look at it, because you know, talking, in fact, I just got confirmation a little while ago, you're like this, Russell's coming on the show, Russell Javers, and it finishes my triad with the original Billy Joel vibe. But when it said that Billy never fires anybody, he just never asks anybody back. You know, and I mean, come on, he might as well go work for Verizon and become a person who takes reservations. And if it could be any more vague, let me know. I mean, there's nothing worse, you know, than showing up as an athlete and finding out your locker's been cleared out. And with that said, so I mean, what are your feelings? I mean, based upon this, Gavin, does it get to your heart at all, or do you just kind of look over it because we all have a little bit of a tainted area in this thing called the music business? What's your feeling about that overall?
I mean, I can definitely relate. I get the same in my industry. You know, it's like I've never actually been fired, but I'll just stop getting calls, and I'll see that people I've shot for or cut for in the past are now using someone else. And, you know, I guess you really can't take it personally. In my situation, I guess if I worked for the same guy for 30 years and just never got a call or anything, I'd probably be a little broken up about it.
You know, and you brought up a good part about that too. It's like, you know, again, you being behind that scene of the editor, cinematographer, Fran being the director, as a musician, me as a percussionist. I got to tell you, I take things personally. I'm trying in my 57 years of existence not to take things seriously. But when you think you've done the best job possible, and all of a sudden there's a new CD out and a release, and you were asked to be on it a couple years earlier, then find out that you didn't make it. You know, I'm trying to understand that in all these years I've been doing this, that it isn't personal. Somebody just has a different taste. They want to try something different. I know personally that if things are working for me, musically or on the radio, I kind of stick with it. When I go to a restaurant, I kind of order the same thing because I know I'm going to get what I'm looking for. And so with that said, when you had control of the editing on this and so on, did you actually have 100% control, or did you have somebody looming over you, or did you have complete control on your editing choices?
Well, no, of course, you know, Fran and I were working together on it, and you know, and that's fine. I mean, I'm definitely not a control freak. He did give me a lot of freedom, just kind of explore, and then I would bring him in and say, check this out, and he would have his notes, and we'd kind of collaborate that way. The control I had was more like, you know, on how the image looked while we were shooting and when we were coloring it. You know, Fran kind of let me run free on that because, you know, what he was seeing was kind of what he envisioned, so that was nice.
Right. Is there anything that stands out in your mind? Go ahead.
I was going to say, you know, a lot of these musicians talk about the trust factor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And having trust with the artist and the musician. And with Gavin, you know, we'd been shooting this thing for a couple of years, and he was on just virtually about 95% of the shoots. So I trusted him, You know, I trust his instinct. He knew exactly what kind of movie I wanted to make, how I wanted it to look. And, you know, I would go down to San Diego where he was living at the time, and he would, let's say, for instance, I think the one piece that he cut first that really blew my mind was the Randy Rhoads, Rudy Sarzo section where he talked about the tragedy. And I think I'd gone out to lunch at the bank or something and came back, and he had created this piece. He's like, I got something I want to show you. Check it out, you know. So we sat back, and he put it on the big screen and, you know, had the volume up. And I'm watching it, and it's over, and I'm in tears. You know what I mean? It was just, it blew me. I think we may have made just a couple slight changes of that, but that was about it. So, you know, he's got the instinct that I was looking for, and, you know, when you look at a lot of those scenes, the big scenes in there that really move people emotionally, you know, Gavin kind of had the freedom to do what he wanted with that stuff, and I would just come in and spot check it, and, you know, a couple notes here or there, but I mean, he knew my vision and just delivered.
And educate me, both of you guys, for a second. Who's responsible for the trailer cut? Who puts that together? I don't know how that works. Who puts that together?
Well, the full trailer I cut, and then the little short trailers, the cut downs for the Fathom thing. So I'm not sure who cut those, but I think they were derived from the original trailer anyway.
You know, and when you read that, I mean, it's like anything else. There's nothing different because you showed the high points. And watching this video, this 98, I hate to say the word video. I keep doing that, Fran, and I apologize. When I watch this documentary, there is no low spots in it at all. I mean, it's constant. It's moving. I'd asked Nita with regards to the studio and whose idea was it to get, you know, Liberty together and the band in that studio in L.A. when they were doing that jam. And I'm going to throw it back to you itself, and I'm going to go back to you, Gavin. Gavin, how much time did you spend in the front part of this video? Meaning, were you next to Fran during this, or were you the person that sat down and everybody dropped all the shit on you to do your work? Or did you play a major part of it in following the infantile stage of this documentary?
Yeah, I mean, I was there from the very first interview. I think it was Paul Bushnell we interviewed first, and you know, as it progressed, Fran got the idea to get everyone together for that jam, and you know, of course, we put that whole thing together. That was kind of a big deal. We had a couple days of rehearsal, and then I think we spent 2 or 3 days in that studio with all those guys coming in and out, and yeah, I mean, I was there from the beginning, and so by the time we got in the cutting room, we kind of knew. We didn't know exactly what the movie was going to be, but we had the bones. We knew what the big stories were going to be. And, you know, with any doc, especially like this, where we had, I don't know, 300 hours of interviews or something crazy. It's a big process, but, I mean, I think we fished out the best of it, and, hopefully we did. And, I'm pretty proud of it.
Gavin, where did you do your work? Was there a set studio that you did your work in, Gavin, or do you have your own studio that you're doing this? Tell us about that.
If we're talking about post, yeah, we just did everything at my house. You know, and fortunately, that's where it's come. You know, it's like you used to have to go, you know, rent a post facility, and you have these huge servers and all this huge machinery you needed to be powerful enough to do this. But now you can literally do this on a laptop. It's pretty awesome.
Crazy.
I mean, we even cut some of it at Starbucks. It's nuts.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because we talked about that. Fran knows this side because, you know, I'm a Pro Tools person. I hate to be the one that says that I succumbed to that and trying to convince the major labels that, you know, you're going to get the same sound out of my home studio as you are in the major studios. And when they test you and find out the fact that in the last, 8 years, I've put together some of the best sounds. I never thought I was going to be an engineer. I thought I was going to be strictly the quintessential percussionist and have the engineer and do the talk back and so on. I mean, it gets monotonous when I'm sitting here in my studio by myself. When it goes to the situation of editing, are you so enwrapped and enthralled in what you're doing that it doesn't get boring, or do you find yourself sometimes twiddling your thumbs?
I mean, it's kind of both ways. You know, it's like, you know, on something where you don't have a script and you're just searching for the story, and you spend a lot of times, you know, kind of being frustrated trying to piece these things together, and you can almost see it, but you can't quite get it. But then once you get onto something, I know you can relate to this as a musician, a producer. Once you get onto something, it's just like, oh yeah, I got it. And you're just pulling pieces, and it's kind of an obsessive thing. And then until you get it done.
And one more question before I bring Fran back in, and to both of you. I don't understand this because this is not in my wheelhouse, if you will. But do you have to be 100% understanding of what this whole documentary is about from beginning to end, or do you pick it up and learn from it as you're going on, or are you a slave to a storyboard to follow everything here?
No, definitely not a slave to a storyboard. In fact, I mean, other than the main story points we knew we were going to hit, there was just a lot of, it was just kind of open, and we just kind of had to discover it as we went along. And, you know, that's kind of the fun part and the curse. You know, sometimes I'm sitting there just pulling my hair out, wishing I had a script. But, you know, other times I really appreciate the freedom of just like finding the story organically and, you know, letting it flow.
Okay, guys, and Fran, we're coming out of the first. I'm sorry, we got a little bit of delay here. I'm coming out of the first minute, the first segment itself. So, Fran, excuse me for jumping in on that. We're gonna pick it up because I don't want to ask a question that's going to take a 10-minute answer. We don't have the time here. So, as we come back, I want to find out more, and I want the honesty on everything else because it's all about keeping it real here on Jackie's Groove. I want to know more about the fact that did you, Fran, and did you, Gavin, bump heads? Or were you brothers in love during this whole situation? I have a hard time believing that there wasn't some creative differences in some situations. And if that's the case, who won? You know, I'm real curious to find out, you know, who made that cutting room floor? And so with that said, I want everybody to also on the live feed, if you have any questions regarding this, and people out there that are not musicians, that are in the film situations, the production and editing, send us a message. We'll make sure we get it to the gentleman on this show today. So with that said, you guys, my name is Jackie Bertoni. This is Jackie's Groove, and you're brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. We're into all things music, and I'm proud and privileged, man. I've got Fran Strine and also Gavin Fisher, the two principals of this, the editor and the director of this amazing documentary on the eve of tomorrow, June 29th, The Hired Gun. You guys, you can't miss it. So we're going to pick this up when we get back on this short break, and we'll pick it up again. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. After these short breaks, we'll be right back.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on InterTalkRadio.com.
Hey, it's Carney Wilson, and you're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertoni.
Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Everybody, welcome back to segment number 2 of Jackie's Groove. Hey, guys, it's Jackie Bertoni. Hey, quick question, guys. Do yourselves a favor. When you can't listen to my show live or any of the shows on Intertalk Radio, go to iTunes or go to Android, Google Play, and download our easy-to-use application. Take Jackie's Groove and Intertalk Radio on the Groove with you. You can go to either of those locations and go to search Intertalk First Word, Radio Second, and take us on the move with you. So with that said, guys, welcome back. Gavin Fisher, Fran Strine, director, cinematographer from The Hired Gun, on the eve of the debut. I wanted to ask you this question, guys. We said in the first segment, you know, the fact about butterflies and so on, and you've seen this around the world in different festivals, but is this debut, the actual debut to the total public, is it going to have a different vibe with you both on this situation of actually, you know, proof is in the pudding, different than actually watching this in a festival? Give me the idea on both sides.
Gavin, go ahead.
You know, I don't know. I mean, I've seen it. You know what I'll be interested to see is just I'm going to see it where I live, and I'll be interested to see how many people I don't know that just show up. You know, just how many people are interested in seeing the movie. You know, that it's not a festival anymore. It's not people that are just there to see independent movies. It's just people going to see a movie. So, yeah, that'll be cool. If people show up and the theater's full, I'll be super happy.
And as I said to both of you before we left on the first segment, you know, of being brothers in this this documentary, but be honest with me on both sides. I'm going to throw both of you back, and I want an answer. Was there ever a time where you guys just couldn't come to common ground, and did you butt heads? And how did you work it out if, in fact, you did that?
Well, look, I mean, this was a really long project. It was really, I wouldn't say it was hard to do the first couple of years, but I think in the editing bay, I don't know, it never fought. I mean, it was never anything like that. But of course, you know, I would have an opinion, and Gavin would have an opinion, but it never came to blows or anybody flaring up, or not with he and I anyway. No. And we still work together.
Yeah,
there's two people I will not do a project without. One of them is Gavin, and the other one is Thomas, our sound guy. Those are my security blankets. I get along with both of them extremely well, and they're at the top of their game. I mean, I cannot imagine doing a project without either one of those guys.
You know, and you answered my question, because I wanted to. The question was, will you guys welcome each other back on the next project together? And I guess the answer is yes.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it was a great process, and the fact that we're still friends is, you know, just shows that, because there's, you know, lots of people that I've done movies with that I don't really talk to anymore. You know, shooting a movie is, especially like this. I mean, we were in this thing for years, so it's like that's a tricky one, you know, because there's always creative differences. There's just always, you know, life that comes at you. So would absolutely work with Fran.
And Gavin, let me ask this question. Let me go ahead real quick. With that said, I asked Fran this on our interview a couple weeks ago. I'm going to ask this to you. It's already, look at the movie's out. No one's going to put a stop on this. And you don't have to name names if you choose to. Go ahead. If not, that's fine. But was there an absolute and the quintessential pain in the ass in the way of stars on this movie that really, really, really rubbed you the wrong way?
You know, I can't say that there is. I can't even think of any of our interviews where I was just like, that guy. I mean, everyone was super nice, and some people were surprisingly nice, actually. Some people that I had heard were super divas, and it's a pain in the ass. They seemed to be really cool, and we shot them. I mean, we were with all these guys for like 3 hours at minimum, you know, and, you know, for somebody to be cool that long, sitting in front of a camera. I mean, I couldn't do that.
Were you intimidated by David Foster?
No, I don't really get starstruck. I mean,
okay.
David Foster's huge. I've shot way more famous people than David Foster. I mean, he's
perfect.
He was a really nice guy. That helped. The more intimidating thing was watching, like, as we were shooting, he was sitting in front of his pile of Grammys. I mean, I think there was like
You're right, on this piano.
17 or 18 of them on the piano behind him. I was like, wow, that kind of hit home.
Yeah, it does. And that's when you sit there and you think about, where the creative juices are. Because, I mean, there's so many amazing people in this industry itself. They haven't got their just due, but I'm sure there's also reasons for that. And with that said, let's look back at your itinerary. Let's look at your bio, Gavin. I mean, you're not, this is not your first rodeo. And with that said, when you look at this 98-minute documentary that you cut, was there a section of this that was actually Gavin's favorite part of the documentary? Share with me on that.
It's funny because you mentioned it earlier, the scene at the end when Liberty's taking his walk and he's talking about, his current life and the current things he's doing. That was one of the first scenes that we cut. And it was one of the ones like Fran was talking about. He was off doing something, and I just had this idea, and I put this thing together, and he came up and watched it. And it was just like we were both sitting there crying as we watched it, and we just knew right there, like, there's the end of the movie. And it was just because, I mean, at that point, we knew Liberty's story well. We spent a week with the guy in Brooklyn, and we knew that, that he was going to be a big part of the movie. And so just right away, we were like, there it is. There's the end of the movie. Great. We got it.
Hey, Gavin, can I give you kudos here, man? I mean, there's, out of all this amazing documentary, my favorite edit was? And it shows how much I've seen this. It's the edit when they're talking to the guitarist with Pink, and not the interview with Schulman, but with the guitar player. And he said, "Hey, man, they came to see Pink, but as soon as the word Pink came out, you edited to where Pink looked up with her arms up in the air." You know what part I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that was very cool, and I would go back and forth, and I said, now that's an amazing edit to me. I'm not the quintessential person, but I can watch things. I was watching Get Shorty last night with John Travolta, and where they had Christina Milian joining Aerosmith on stage. And I thought about this last night. My wife and I were watching this because she's up there, and I thought it was the biggest mismatch between her and Steven Tyler. But the point is, the camera goes out to this stadium or this arena-size show, and all these people, the extras, whatever it may have been, and it was the worst editing job because the bottom line is, they're up there singing Crazy, but nobody in the audience is singing word for word of the song. And they're clapping on, 1 and 3 versus 2 and 4. And I'm wondering if you, as an editor, you think, I know you may not know the answer, but is it too expensive to actually try to lock in 15,000 people? Or isn't it just easy to sit there and say, okay, we're going to go ahead and roll tape. I want everybody to be singing the song. Or is it not important to the watchers out there that they may not catch it like me as a musician would?
Well, I mean, I don't think it gets done that often where they'll try and pick up the audience. And you're right. In a lot of cuts, you'll see things. I mean, I see things that are just musically way off. And, most editors probably just don't get it. And probably, sadly, most of the public doesn't get it. But, I'm a musician as well. And I try and look for stuff like that when I'm cutting things. At least, make the audience clap on a beat and kind of go for things that kind of match whatever's going on with the music. And, a lot of times you can't just take stuff verbatim. You'll have to fish around to even, different songs or different stuff for the B-roll and, trying to make that match musically. I don't know I think you almost have to be a musician to make that work out, so that other musicians appreciate it.
Hey, Fran, will there be a blooper reel?
I don't know about a blooper reel, but when the Blu-ray DVD comes out, there are never-before-seen interviews with like 5 or 6 of the cast members that are really, really cool. That was one of the things that I know Gavin's had a task was, what do we not show? Because, this movie could have been 101,000 kick-ass sound bites. but sound bites don't tell stories. But all the sound bites are just like solid platinum. You know what I mean? So it was very important to like just develop the characters, the stories, and the arc, and get that locked in. You know, I think we nailed it.
You know, we talked about this on the first segment when we talked about the part where Rudy was talking about the demise and the death of Randy Rhoads, and how Rudy was asked to go out and take a flight in this little Cessna, but he was tired, so he decided this was going to jump back into his bunk and shut the curtain and take a nap. And watching this sad part of this documentary, this real part of the documentary, which is horribly sad, on the death of Randy Rhoads, but when Rudy said it again and brought it up on our interview, God, it hit home again, because all of a sudden I didn't have to look at the video reel. I can see photos in my mind of the bus with the broken glass. I can see in my mind the garage that was blown apart by the Cessna. I can hear, my God, they're all gone. They're all gone. Does that kind of, I don't know, were you ever, both of you, huge Randy Rhoads fans? And how did that hit you when you found out that this man passed away and that this would become a prominent part of this documentary? Choose who wants to answer this.
You know, yeah, I was a huge Randy Rhoads fan. I mean, he, you know, is an amazing guitarist, and you know, when I learned of his death, it was shocking. I mean, you just never think that it's going to happen to a superstar like that, you know, and it does. And you go back and you look, and there's other musicians that I love. I mean, I remember when Cliff Burton died. I was a musician as well. I was playing guitar, and we were at band practice, and oh my God, you know, Cliff Burton's dead. Right. You know, so it's jolting, you know, and you know, when we interviewed Rudy the first time, I think I mentioned this before, but we skipped the whole Randy Rhoads death part because he avoided it for some reason. You know, maybe he just didn't want to talk about it the other day or whatnot. But while we knew what we had in the can, and I think even Gavin, if I'm not mistaken, we probably already knew that Rudy would be a central part of this film. And without getting that story, we could not have mended this piece together to make it make sense, because the reason that Rudy went on to acquire Right, they had such success, and then later on with Whitesnake, was because Randy passed. You know, I mean, it's horrible that it happened. Without that tragedy, would he have ever made those moves and gone on to have this amazing career that he's had? So, you know, I called him up and we arranged to go back again. And, you know, once again, man, it was what you see on film. There's no trickery there, or weird edits or cuts or anything, man. He went there that day, and it was incredibly sad and painful to watch in person as it was in the cut.
Yeah, it was really heavy in the room that day. And, I mean, Rudy, I mean, this movie could easily be called Everyone Loves Rudy, because he's like the most likable guy in the world. And his story
isn't he though, man?
Just inspirational all at the same time. And you know, I was a huge Randy fan as well. I was you know, I was a kid, and all my friends we were all, you know, all my musician friends, we were all Randy fans. We were all broken up when he died, and it was like a legend. And yeah, a lot of this movie was like that, coming full circle from my childhood for me. You know, we interviewed all these guys, you know, Steve Vai and all my, you know, guitar heroes when I was a kid. It was a pretty cool experience.
You know, and I'm going to make. Go ahead, Bob. I want to make a quick thing for here. I want to real quick. Let me just tell this. I promised you also, Gavin, as I promised Fran. I'm interviewing, I think in the next 2 or 3 weeks, Steve Lukather. And I am going to get to the bottom line that's the answer. Oh boy, because I go back years with Luke, and I know Luke. He can get in a shitty disposition, as we all can. But sometimes when I'm in a shitty disposition, I stay away from the camera and I stay away from opinions. I want to find out exactly what it was and why he didn't like the documentary. And it seemed like he had a great time when he was on camera, but like Fran said, maybe wasn't on camera as much as he wanted to be. And I'm going to find out about that. I think everybody out there, because I've gotten so many messages from people saying, please find out what Lukather, you know, why he doesn't like us, what the problem was. and I'll make that promise to you both. But I want to say one thing to both of you also, and ask this question, then we'll get back to you, Fran. But, we all have our inspirations growing up, guitarists, drummers, keyboards, and so on. But forgive me for not being wise to this. But Gavin, is there an editor or editors that you really inspired to be like, that you grew up and love to this date, that you would love to work with yourself? Is there anybody out there you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, it's not really like that as much for me in editing. I mean, there's definitely a few cinematographers that I really love. I mean, there's definitely editing that I love, but there's not anyone. I don't know. I guess the answer is no. I don't have any editing heroes, but
that's perfect.
Not to say I don't appreciate other editors, but not like that.
And also, too, Gavin, explain to the listeners out there, what exactly are the duties of a cinematographer?
Well, a cinematographer is responsible for basically the entire look of the movie, carrying out the director's vision, and that's something that's all kind of pre-decided before shooting begins. So it's basically the head of the camera department. So I will work with the guy on a normal movie. On this one, I kind of did everything myself, but I would work with the gaffer, the chief lighting technician, and he would have his crew of grips and electricians who would carry out, the lighting and so forth. And then I'd work with the camera ops and just to get the shot I'm looking for. That's kind of my job.
Perfect. And when we get back, I can't believe it, guys, the light's flashing. We're going to be out of 2 back into 3, the last final hour of this 1-hour interview. It's not going to be enough time, but we're going to have a great time doing it again. We want to get more into the crux and the meat and potatoes of this documentary, and a few more questions, and then of course we're going to turn it over to you. We're going to bring the CEO of our network in. He's going to ask a few questions also too, and then we're going to see what we can do to really, really light the fire under the listeners' asses out there to get them and to this amazing debut. And also, guys, too, the listeners out there, we don't stop on Intertalk Radio and Jackie's Groove just because the debut is out tomorrow. We're going to go far beyond this. We're going to do whatever we can possible to bring this to Netflix, bring it to HBO, and we'll do what we can do with that. So, with that said, guys, don't go anywhere. Segment 2, ending 3 around the corner with Fran Strine, director, and also Mr. Gavin Fisher, cinematographer, editor of Hired Gun. Don't go anywhere, kids. Second.
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear, host of Sound Experience here on Intertalk Radio. And Source Connect by Source Element is the essential tool that we use to link between my studio in Austin, Texas, and the WS radio station in San Diego. Now, with Source Connect, not only can we communicate in real time and with HD audio, but it's synced up and is of a high enough quality that I can use it for real-time ADR work, remote recording, and overdubbing, and it even allows me to remotely control a DAW. Source Connect by Source Element. Affordable, high-quality audio and video connection over the internet for all of your production needs.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Make this your vinyl night. I'm John J.R. Robinson, and every week, music creation comes alive through stories, experiences, and sounds when vinyl records filled our hearts and minds. My friends and I share our tips and techniques used in creation of iconic tracks for recording artists such as Michael Jackson, Eric Clapton, Quincy Jones, and Steve Winwood, to name a few. Vinyl has emerged hot, and the soul of vinyl defines art and passion which burns deepest at night. Tune in every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on intertalkradio.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, this is Shelly Sondheim, President and CEO of CSM Words and Music. You're listening to Jackie's Groove with Jackie Bertoni.
Groove. Come journey with us through the rhythm of the music business with your host, Jackie Bertoni.
Welcome back to segment number 3 of Jackie's Groove, brought to you by Intertalk Radio Network. I'm your Into All Things Music. Hey, guys, this is Jackie Bertoni. So with that said, on segment number 3, I want to say hi to all the sponsors out there, our sponsors, Pitbull Audio, Studio Instrument Rentals, Vader Percussion, DW Drum Workshop Incorporated, and then, of course, most people I'm biased to is LP Music Group. I've been with them going on my 28th year. Thank you, gentlemen, for the belief in my career. So with that said, hey, guys, we're back with Fran Strine and also Gavin Fisher, director and cinematographer/editor of the documentary Hired Gun. You guys, I can't wait to see this tomorrow, man, right down the street on June 29th. So with that said, when I came out of the last segment, we are proud and privileged to be able to do this and join forces with you guys, but we want to take this well beyond. I talked to Tim, I think it's Binder or Bender, and he thought it was only going to be left off of what we're going to do here before the debut, but, we want to make sure that this documentary continues on and has legs in the future, and we want to be part of this. And we thank you for making us part of this with you, gentlemen. So with that said, hey, Gavin, let me ask you this question, brother. I asked Fran this on our interview, but after the listening audience, watching audience walks out of this theater and after standing ovations, what do you hope they're going to take away from this documentary with them when they leave the theater?
I mean, hopefully someone that's not involved in the music industry will get some insight as to kind of the bones that make up these songs that they love and, the people that work on these things. And, beyond that kind of thing, there's just some great stories that, for some great people, and just hopefully it's inspiring in some sort of way, or, hopefully they just really enjoy these stories. I mean, these are real dudes, and they're great people, and some of these stories are super triumphant. Some of them are absolutely heartbreaking, and I just hope it causes people to feel something, to be honest.
And forgive me for being blatant, but that dude from Filter was a fucking prick. I'm sorry, man. I mean, that was I could not. Again, forgive me for being blatant, but that was just out of fucking context. It was uncalled for. And for those of you who don't like Filter, watch this documentary. It'll seal the fate. And I don't know, that's just my personal opinion. And before I enter last segment, I interrupted you, Fran. You had a story. Why don't you go ahead and share that and pick it up where I interrupted you?
Yeah, we were talking about Randy Rhoads, and any filmmakers out there, especially documentary filmmakers, they know that, getting access to archival footage is vital to telling these stories. And we were having a really difficult time with the Ozzy Osbourne camp getting anything cleared. It was always no matter how much we tried. So we're just scouring everywhere for anything we could find with Randy Rhoads that we could use. And, it seems like the Osbourne camp controls almost 100% of it. So there's none out there. A friend of mine had sent me a guy's email that had an 8mm roll of film that he shot in 1982 or 83 on the Blizzard or the Dire of a Madman tour before Randy passed in San Antonio, Texas, and was like, reach out to this guy. He may be able to sell you something. So I reached out to him. The film had not been it was sitting in his attic all this time, and I was like, can we please go have a process to see if there's anything there and usable? He agreed to, and we agreed to a fee, and we went ahead and sent it to the lab and blown up into 4K and sent it back. So the stuff that you see of Ozzy and Randy and Rudy from the film is from this guy, and he kind of was a saving grace for us in that regard. Otherwise, we just don't have the visual. You just got to use photos, and photos become pretty boring after a while. But Yeah, that was one of the biggest challenges as well, is getting great archival footage, and for Billy Joel too, because he declined to be interviewed. And we wanted to show the yin and yang when these guys are talking about their situations, and have Billy kind of chime in and be the mouthpiece for it using archival, and
Yeah, it blew me out of the water. When I talked to Rudy, he and I have become dear friends since the interview. He cracks up. But I said to him, and no spoiler alert to the people who haven't seen the documentary, but the outfit that Rudy so chose to wear when he first got together with Ozzy, because he really didn't know what the English rock and roll vibe was, and he went to a dance studio, and that's all I'm going to say. And I asked Rudy, I said, Rudy, what were you thinking? He says, I wasn't thinking anything because that's what I thought was fine. But I look at it now and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, my God. And the thing that cracks me up about Rudy, here's a man that is deep set. He's got great Christian values and so on and so forth. For a guy who made a living with the Prince of Darkness, I mean, what a dichotomy that was, And it's like, but he knows the difference. That one part's a show, one part's his life. But it's funny how the dichotomy between the two. And with that said, guys, I want to ask you a question about inspiration and so on. This amazing Oscar-winning documentary, 20 Feet from Stardom. How much of this documentary bleeds into yours? Was it an inspiration for the Hired Gun? Yes or no?
For me, it was. I saw the movie and loved it, but I wasn't thinking while I was watching the movie, boy, I'm going to make a documentary on side guys, the Hired Gun musicians. But
right.
That film was so well put together, and it deserved to win the Oscar. I'm a huge fan of that film, and it was definitely an inspiration for sure. I wanted Hired Gun to have more grit to it, which I think it does, and tell more of the personal story, and be a little bit more diverse and contemporary. But yeah, it was definitely an inspiration for me.
And with the exception of Ray Parker Jr. being the only R&B per se guy on this documentary, it kind of focused more around the rock element, but there's so much more out there musically. I don't need to tell you two with regards to R&B and so on and so forth. And I'm putting the cart well in front of the horse. And stop me if I'm incorrect, but this next documentary, and I know the next Hired Gun 2 or whatever you're going to use the working title is, but are we going to focus? Here I'm selling the story. But are you going to focus more on the R&B side of the music? Again, Earth, Wind, and Fire and the like?
Well, look, I have an idea for this next project that I will be launching, pre-production in the next month or so. But I don't want to give too much of it away because I haven't, one important thing I found, and I'm sure it's just like a songwriter, Jackie, it's like, so you've copywritten your work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
People will try, once they see that something is successful, they want to put their stamp on it and try to make it all their own or take all the glory and leave people out. So, one of the first things I did when I came up with the concept for Hired Gun is I wrote the synopsis. And this is why I'm one of the writers on the film. Even though it's a documentary, you don't really write. There's no writing in the documentary, but I registered it with the Writers Guild before I did anything back in 2013. And, you just have to, I guess it's just good advice is to protect yourself, But yeah, the next thing will be focused on timeless music that will never go away. That's for sure. I mean, songs that people remember 500 years.
When you brought this out, when you had this amazing vision before you actually said action and started rolling, how many people said this was a stupid idea, it's never going to work? Were there the naysayers out there? Is that something you want to share?
Nobody really. Everybody thought it was a great idea, and
cool.
When we put together our the first sizzle reel that Gavin put together, that's, every once in a while we'd have a couple of no's, or, even Phil X said it. He's like, my buddy called me to be interviewed for this film, and it's like, you see somebody show up with a handy cam or an iPhone. He's like, these guys came with an audio guy, a boom mic, and lights, and, a red 4K camera. And it was real, so then I took it seriously, and,
right.
I guess it's that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Because the word documentary scares a lot of people because it's low production budget. But I mean, we went all out, no holds bar, and went for it, and did a great job, I think, with a crew of, it was Gavin, myself, and Thomas for just about every single
for
shoot,
most of it.
Yeah, for most of it. Just 3 people, that's it. That's what you're saying. Except for the,
and Gavin,
and look, I got to give Gavin props, too, for helping me out with the, we didn't really have a real producer on this film, so all the production was done between the 2 of us, and Gavin threw a lot of his A-list team people with us to do the East-West thing, because, I think we had to hire like 23 different crew people and had no time to do it and pulled it off, man, and it was killer. It was so much fun. High pressure, but, man, what a treat to see all those musicians in one room and, just ripping your face, And there's so much
that
stuff.
was definitely an experience.
Yeah, there's so much stuff on the cutting room floor. It's just.
That's
Gavin,
the only part that kills me is there's so many good stories and so many good moments from the live stuff that we can't make a 6-hour movie. So, who knows? We could turn this into the next movie. We could probably make 3 more movies out of what we have. It's crazy.
Look, let's call it a franchise, man. That's where the big money seems to be coming from. And I want to ask you this question also, too, Gavin, as an editor. Did you have the opportunity to walk through the Holy Grail called Skywalker Ranch? And if you did you hear the quintessential choir going off when you walked through those doors?
No, I'm super bummed I never got to go there. It was always in the plan when the sound mix was going to happen. Fran knew it was going to happen there, and I was going to fly up. Unfortunately, everything came together so last minute when we were prepping for the South by Southwest premiere that I literally had to color the movie while the sound was being mixed. So I couldn't break free. I'm super bummed about it.
And Fran, again, I don't know how much different it is, in sound editing versus recording, but are you guys sitting behind this huge SSL Neve board, or is there something bigger than SSL that Skywalker uses? Educate me, draw me that picture if you would.
Yeah, so at Skywalker there's what's called the tech building, and that's where all the mixing goes down. There's also a giant sound stage. Like when we were there, Ben-Hur they had the orchestra in there. So I got to see some of that go down. It was just bone-chilling, man. You're in this giant room. It's beautiful. But where we mixed Hired Gun, we're in one of the rooms. And, there's a big movie projector where the movie's playing. And then Scott Lewis is the guy that mixed our film. He's fantastic. Just a great mixer. Loves the movie. Was all about it. Did a fantastic job. But it's just like a big mixing board, man. Except they hear all the little nuances. You know what I mean? Like when you're recording, you hear, a buzz on a guitar string or something like that. You just cut it, or you slide the drum, if there's a slam going on. But with this, if they hear like a zipper, they're listening for zippers or a hand going across a leg with a swish. They'll cut that stuff out. But leave it, ambient enough where it doesn't take the reality away. Like there's a scene in there when Russell Javers talks about Doug Stagmeyer passing, and he does this very sad sigh, and it wasn't really turned up in the mix, like when the guy was sound recording. So I wanted to emphasize that. I was like, that's heartbreaking, man. This will really, make this piece move, and we can just, bump it up a few dBs, man. And he got it, And there's some stuff there like also, the live kiss scene when the pyro's going off. Well, we only got the video. There was no music there. So they had a sound designer come in and actually create an explosion for us. It was so cool, and it really was. When
you mention Russell right there, and he's sitting in that beautiful home, I don't know whose home that was that you did the interview in, but again, you didn't have to have the decibels brought up because the look on his face, you can feel the hurt, and so on. And again, no more spoiler alerts on this, guys. You've got to see this. And the only reason why I say this to you, Gavin, with regards to Skywalker, me as a percussionist, me with my longevity with the Beach Boys and Brian Wilson, when I walk into Capitol and Records, and when I walk into Western Audio or Ocean Way, which has now changed the name again, when you walk through these fucking hallways, man, you can feel 60, 50, 40 years of just musical vibe permeating through those walls, let alone the photos. And I think everybody should get a chance to go and experience that, because believe me, if walls could talk, can you imagine the stories that would come out of them? And it's just and I'll say it again, and I said it to Fran many times, I say it to all my interviews, it's pretty fucking cool what we do, guys. When we're gone, decades from now, the things that we have done musically, documentary, picture-wise, will be around far past when we leave. And that's something to be part about and proud about history. I know there's no crystal ball on either of your desks right now, but in the last 2 minutes, I want to ask a quick question. Do you really feel, I feel, that this documentary, Hired Gun, is Oscar worthy?
Fran.
I love this movie so much. I've worked so hard on it. I try not to be biased, but
right.
Yeah, man, it's got everything I think the audience loves. Like Gavin said earlier, and I think I've probably said it before too, it doesn't matter where we play it, on any continent, anywhere in the world, it's the same reaction every time. I mean, I've seen people get up and cheer like you're at a concert before on some of these musical performances, like when Derek St. Holmes does Just What the Doctor Ordered. I mean, people were standing up and cheering like it was a show, like whistling and going nuts, and then I remember being in Australia watching it, and the lady next to me, when Rudy was talking about, gaining his spirituality, the girl was weeping,
Right.
And I don't want to say that made me happy, but I'm like, it worked. The reaction that I was hoping to get, I was getting, and it resonates anywhere on the planet. So, and
guys,
me,
and also,
those are the things that,
that clock is flashing. Let me just tell you something. Let me do some business for you guys. FathomEvents.com. Search Hired Gun, put in your zip code, see this movie tomorrow, June 29th, at theaters, 300 plus nationwide. Also, go to HeyGavin, HeyGavin.com. Hire this man. His work is amazing. You'll see when I talk about on this documentary. Go to MrFranStrine.com and also search these gentlemen. Hired Gun, the film, via Twitter, via Facebook. Put your 2 cents in, guys. We're not doing this for our health. We're doing this to keep a roof over our heads. And it's probably going to be the best money you've spent, with your clothes on. Go see this amazing documentary. And again, with that said, guys, Jackie Bertoni, Jackie's Groove Intertalk Radio Network, you're into all things music, with my guest today, Mr. Fran Strine, director of The Hired Gun, and also Mr. Gavin Fisher, cinematographer, editor. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Forgive me for the time allotment here, but we're moving forward, man. We're going to be doing this as much as we can. And guys, welcome, welcome, welcome.
This is Jackie Bertoni from Jackie's Groove. Come join me weekly on my journey through the music business as I take you behind the velvet rope, interviewing industry notables such as Al Di Meola, Michael McDonald, and Al Jarreau, to name but a few. Listen to their stories on being in the studios recording #1 hits and onto the stages throughout the globe. Allow me to be your music historian. You can hear me live every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Wednesday at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time, or 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com. Ready to get your groove on?
Hi, this is Tim Dolbear from Eclectica Studios. I'm a full-time mixing and recording engineer. I work with Grammy winners, labels, and indie artists, using state-of-the-art digital mixing and restoration tools and the very best in analog gear. Really, though, it's my ability to bring tracks to life and fulfill your vision for your music. This has made me sought after by producers and artists worldwide. So spend your time working on music and not chasing a mix down a rabbit hole. Go to timdolbear.com and check out our free one-song mix offer.
You know what's all around you every waking moment of your life? Marketing. You're choking on it. I'm Scott Robertson, and when it comes to strategic PR, branding, and marketing, I've seen it all. And actually, I'm still seeing it because bad marketing never sleeps. Join me each week on May the Best Brand Win, right here on Intertalk Radio, and learn how to make the marketing for your brand unforgettable.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. Pitbullaudio.com.